Time for us to talk nutrition, and doing justice to that today is Elizabeth Onyema, an advanced clinical weight loss expert and the CEO of Lee's Weight Watchers. She is a health and lifestyle entrepreneur who teaches nutrition activity and behavioral therapy. She joins us on the nutrition segment this morning to discuss toxic fat, the hidden killer. So at what point does fat become toxic?
Okay, so fat becomes, when you say at what point does fat become toxic, it's a little tricky.
Because there's healthy fats.
Yes, no, well, when you say that essential body fat is healthy fat, so it means that you really can't be too skinny, because fat obviously has its functions in the human body. It's because of fat that we are warm. It cushions our organs when we fall. For we women, they are particular, you should have an amount of fat for your fertility hormones to work, right? So we have the essential body fat. But when we're talking about toxic fat, it's a different ballgame entirely. And it can differ, like there isn't like a set amount. It just depends on how your body shows this body fat. So what is toxic fat? Now, we have two types of body fat. We have the subcutaneous fat and we have a visceral fat. Subcutaneous fat is a fat that hangs on a skeletal structure, and it's a fat that you can grab with your hands. So think about your love handles, you know, that squashy part of your tummy. That is subcutaneous fat. The cheeky part, subcutaneous fat. Visceral fat, on the other hand, is what we actually mean by toxic fat. So visceral fat is the fat that stores itself around the internal organs of the human body. Now, to just make it very easy for everyone to understand, visceral fat is pot belly. Good. So once you have a bulging tummy, it's a sign that you have toxic fat. Now, when you're talking about the extent, obviously you've seen people who have really big belly bulging.
Yeah.
Like their belly really bulges, right? And you see some people that just have like a little pouch, you know? So the bigger it is, the more toxic it is, basically. So that's it. There's a rule of thumb to it, though. For women in particular, if your belly or your belly circumference is more than 35 inches, then it is very, very clear that you have a huge buildup of visceral fat. For men, 40 inches and above. But then again, when you consider it from the other angle, that there are some people who have a really slim, like they are slim, what we call the pear shape. So we have, or better still, the apple shape. They seem to have like a bigger upper body and a smaller lower body. As long as they have that bulge, for such people, we would like to use the waist-hip ratio as a way to try and determine how bad their visceral amount of fat, the visceral amount of fat they have in their body is. But on a good day, as a woman, once you can tell that your waist is more than 35 inches, you should do everything within your powers to ensure that it goes lower. In fact, every weight loss strategy must be geared towards reducing toxic fat, because toxic fat or visceral fat is the fat that is directly linked to diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol levels, you know, irritable bowel syndrome for some people, acid reflux, you know, sleep apnea, gout. They're like so many diseases.
So the way to measure it is if your waist is 35.
More than 35, yes.
So in a situation, your waist is less than 35.
Yes.
Are there ways you can actually control it before it actually gets out of hand?
Of course. When you were born, you were not born with visceral fat. Nobody was born with visceral fat. I always tell people, look, when you see a bulge at the lower part of your tummy, I want you to know that if you didn't have a rib cage, that bulge will start from here. So that is just to make it really graphic and really scary for everybody hearing it out here, you know? So, for instance now, when you say, like I said, you were not born with visceral fat, it grew over the years based on your food choices and your activity level. It is what you eat that grows fat. I'm going to say it again. Both this one and the visceral fat that grows around the organs, it is what enters your mouth that makes this thing grow. So once you're able to get these things out of your diet, get physically active, I can tell you, I am an example. I used to have like over 45 inches, but right now my waist inch is 32, 33. How did it happen? I don't wear cinchers. And it's so alarming that we now live in a world where you see, I remember when I was 18, 19, we could wear crop tops. In university, you're 22, you're flaunting your flat belly. But now we are having young girls at the age of 17, 16, wearing cinchers. It is scary because it is like you see this, you can see that the cloud is dark. You can tell that rain is about to fall. So I'm looking at these people and I can see that in a couple of years from now, this person, yes, is definitely not might.
There will be.
There will be. There's a difference between might and a certainty. It is certain. It is for sure. The only difference is the situation of grace. Mine may come up when I'm 21, and another person maybe when she's 60. So nobody knows when it's going to, as these health issues are eventually going to manifest. Nevertheless, the sign that that belly is already bulging is already a huge red flag and must be attended to.
Okay, so what are the measures that can be put in place to avoid it? I know most people will say exercise.
No, that one is for sure.
What
because
else?
Just like I said right now, what you eat grows body fat, whether visceral or subcutaneous. How you move your body is one of the ways the human body burns body fat. So exercise definitely is for sure. And to make it very clear to everybody out there, the good news that we have is when you talk about subcutaneous and visceral fat, the one fat that grows fast, that you can easily burn off fast, is actually the belly fat. It goes faster than the visceral, than the subcutaneous fat. Now, like I said, exercise is definitely one of them, but the food you eat also matters as well. And I'm going to categorize it under two major headings. The first one is avoid simple carbohydrates. Simple carbohydrates will definitely grow abdominal fat. Examples of simple carbohydrates in our diet today are rice, right? Pap, the regular Nigerian ogi, pasta, sugar, fizzy drinks, biscuits, you know? All these things are examples of foods that will definitely grow up.
So someone watching now is probably thinking, yeah, Kuku Seme will not chop again.
Okay, so yes, that's true. I'm not saying you should eat again. There are obviously very good foods you can eat. So you think about beans. Beans isn't a simple carbohydrate. Think about yam, sweet potatoes, plantain, you know, amala.
So yam is healthier?
Oh my goodness, yam is such... I don't know why people tend to have this idea that yam is bad, especially diabetic clients. Please, you can eat yam. You just need to control
your intake.
Carb. Yes, just control the amount of, you know, amount of yam you eat at a given point in time, but it's super good food. All the vegetables are super good. All the fruits, as long as you do not juice them, it's fantastic.
So when you eat them raw? When
you eat them raw, good.
What about smoothie?
No, now, you know, people have different ideas about smoothies. People will tell you that I blended watermelon, pineapple, apple in my head. I'm like, no. That's too much. The idea behind a smoothie is for you to be able to incorporate vegetables alongside fruits. Okay. So your smoothie should not be super sweet. It should just be like bland. So you're bringing in, like if I tell you, if I cut pineapple and throw spinach on it, would you be able to eat it? You can't. But if I tell you blend them together, you can. It
then gets easier.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your time. It's actually been an experience for us. Quite insightful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, at this point, we'll join Winfrey and Chef Blossom in the kitchen.